podcast with Kelly Kazek. She is a wonderful author, a wife of a long-suffering Bigfoot enthusiast, self-proclaimed weird news reporter, and I'm so glad to have you here, Kelly.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
I know. I have just started my podcast, and you're my third one.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's pretty. I'm excited. I'm special.
Yes. I found Kelly in the bookstore at the Gunnersville State Park. I bought a book recently called Covered Bridges of Alabama, and I'm addicted because I want to visit all of them.
They are such fun. They have that romanticism. And in Alabama, 11 of them are historical covered bridges. They go back to the early days in the early 1900s. And then, of course, we have like at least 40 some others that are not historical. They're just pretty, that people put up.
Well, it was interesting to read in the book that these are, wedding places where people want their portraits taken. And I love that you included, like, the locations on them because that's what I plan on doing is just attacking it as I tour around Alabama.
Right, and some are so rural. And a few are on private property, but most people don't mind if you get out of the road and take pictures anyway. But they're just really pretty and fun. I do love that some cities, and in some cases the state, have preserved some of them as landmarks and places you can go and visit and take pictures. And some of them have grist mills located with them so that it's a great family trip.
Yeah, you could visit the mill and the bridge at the same time. So Kelly, tell me a little bit about life in Alabama. Have you always lived here?
No, actually, I was born in Warner Robins, Georgia, and came to Huntsville when I was about 12 or 13 years old. And interestingly, they're both big military towns, and people think I'm a military child. But no, my dad worked for Sherwin-Williams Paints for many years. But I have always just loved the quirky and interesting things, and so Alabama is I love to find the places of the world's largest, or the quirky places, or the quote-unquote haunted places, and I like to go and visit in them.
Yeah.
And for the first few years of my job with AL.com, with Alabama Media Group, that's what I would write about. And then I slowly shifted, and now I do most of my writing for It's a Southern Thing, which is a sister company of AL.com, and I write about the quirky South now. So all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, I saw I think there's an Instagram, abandoned buildings, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
There's always like that mystique about what's going on there.
And one of the weirdest places, I have to tell you, even though this isn't a travel destination, one of the weirdest places that my sweetums and I went was the abandoned insane asylum near Mobile at Mount Vernon, and it's such an interesting place. It started as an arsenal in 1828 and then later became the hospital for the colored insane, and then it integrated, and it ended up being Cersei. Anyway, now all of the buildings, which at least I think 13 of them are from the 1800s, are collapsing.
Oh, wow.
And no one is taking care of them or preserving them. So I was hoping when I wrote a big series about it that it would help with that movement. And I think some people are trying to have it preserved.
Okay. Wow.
It's a really neat place.
Wow.
But you do have to have permission to go there. Guarded by a security guard. So.
I remember we did an abandoned asylum in Savannah, Georgia, on a ghost tour. Like it was a midnight.
Right.
And
I love Savannah.
Yeah. It's such a spooky town.
It is. It's neat. It's a really neat place.
Yeah. Yeah. We learned all about, the Garden of Midnight.
Yes. Midnight. Yes.
Midnight. Yeah. So have you always been a writer?
Yes, actually. I didn't know I was going to be a writer until I graduated from Auburn. Awesome. And I had a degree in English.
We're going to have some Tiger fans really happy about that.
Well, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience at grade school. But when you graduate with an English degree, the first thing you say is, okay, so what can I do without a teaching certificate? And you realize pretty much nothing. So I was, my friends and I were going to be really adventurous and moved to Atlanta the day after graduation. And we get there, and I start training to be a waitress at this real fancy place where you wear a tux and white gloves and everything. And you have to go through like 2 weeks of training. So I was like 2 days from becoming a professional waitress when a little weekly newspaper called and offered me a job.
Oh, awesome.
So that's how it all happened.
Yeah.
It was very much accidental. But yes, I have always made the best grades in writing, and that's why I was an English major. So
that's awesome. Our daughter's an English major too. Yeah, that's so cool. I love that.
A lot of fun.
Okay, I love that you write about many different things, especially my passions, which are history, travel, and weirdness.
Yes.
I really do love it.
Yes. And I love it too. And I tell people, in fact, I give lots of talks, and sometimes with my husband. And I will back up real quick and say he was a co-author of the Bridge book, Will Elric. And we've co-authored 2 books. But
what's the other book?
The other one co-authored is Alabama Scoundrels, the one that's about outlaws from Alabama.
I'm looking forward to reading that one too.
And then he wrote one on his own, which is called Alabama Lore, which is about legends and mysteries in Alabama. So, but yeah, they're just fun books, fun tales, and we like to tell fun tales. We're sort of storytellers. But anyway, what was I telling you?
Oh, just about the writing and the passions and the weird stuff.
So my husband and I, like, when we give talks, we like to tell people about the importance of weird tourism these days. Yeah. And some people don't get it, but it is a thing. And for instance, some people will plan their honeymoon and start at the world's largest ketchup bottle, which is what we did.
Yeah. Where is that?
On Route 66 in Collins.
Okay.
So we did a Route 66, a week-long drive down the route for our honeymoon, because we like that kind of thing. And so we'd stop at the world's tallest man statue and compare my husband, who was 6'7", with the world's tallest man. But, that's just the kind of thing we enjoy, and more people enjoy that. I get messages all the time from people asking me where to go. And if we're going to go on a trip, we don't say, where can we go for the big tourist attractions? We say, is there a world's largest there? or we were in North Carolina and just happened to find out that there is a house in North Carolina covered in coffee mugs, the entire house and its fence. And so we're determined to find it, even though you have to go down all kinds of winding roads and dirt roads, and we did find it. But that's just the kind of thing.
Best treasures anyway.
Yes, we're fascinated.
Got it for it, you know. Yeah, I absolutely love having to. It's like finding the treasure after a really long hunt.
Right.
It was worth it.
Right. Well, and one of our biggest hunts was for a ghost town. I believe it's when we were looking for Battelle, which is an Alabama ghost town. And we actually ended up finally finding the remains of some coke ovens that, they look like beehive coke ovens, and the remains of a building. But it took us forever because everything, of course, is grown over and it's dirt roads.
Yeah.
But as long as he's with me, I don't worry about it too much. If I were by myself, I'd be so lost.
Well, I have to pick your brain because
manage.
I have an epic e-adventure going on this spring, and I'm covering 17 states in 25 days.
Wow.
And one of them is a ghost town. I would love to share my itinerary with you and say, hey, do you know where we can stop and give a shout out to some weird stuff? Because that would be like so cool. But,
in fact, let me tell you real quick, because that's what I was telling you, how we make our itineraries.
Yeah.
We look around and find these places. So we were going to Fort Worth, Texas this summer, and we took my husband, my stepson with us. And we said, okay, where can we go on our way? He had to go on business. We're not going to go straight there and straight back. That's just not how we do things. So on the way there, we went through Mississippi and different places in Louisiana. And then on the way back, we came up through Arkansas. So we ended up at the graves of the Gypsy Queen in Meridian, Mississippi. The abandoned Mississippi River model in Jackson, which is so cool.
Oh, Jackson is one of our stops?
Yeah, listen, you have to see this. Okay. They made a scale model on the ground of the Mississippi River basin so that they could run tests for flooding and the Corps of Engineers and all kinds of things. And it was there from the 40s through, I can't remember when they closed it. It's on my blog post, but it's there and it's starting to get all grown up. But it's so neat. It's concrete. You can see all of the little tributaries. You can walk along it, and it's very cool.
I love hiking. So
very
anything
cool.
that I can put my boots on and go
They
check
need
out
to turn that into a tourist stop. Right now it's in a public park that's all very out of the way and all grown up, but it is, you can find it. You have to try to find it.
Definitely worth going to.
Yes, it is really cool. So
cool.
And so we did that, and we, some ruins and different things like that. That's what we like to do.
Okay, some of the other books you've written about. We talked about the scoundrels, the bandits, and the bushwhackers, and tornadoes.
Right, right.
And you've even written about the history of Auburn.
Yes.
That's pretty ballsy.
I wrote The Hidden History of Auburn, which actually has a lot of fun stuff in it.
I just mean, because, you have to go for one team or the other in Alabama.
There were people who asked me, and this is very true, and my publisher even asked me, but there were people who asked me, well, why don't you write the same book, Hidden History of Tuscaloosa? I said, well, here's a really good reason. Auburn and the university are indistinguishable. You don't have the university without the city. You don't have the city without the university. Okay. Tuscaloosa is a big city unto itself.
Yeah.
So it's a very different vibe and a very different kind of history. The history of Auburn, the Hidden History of Auburn book is both about the university and the town.
Okay.
So it's just a whole different. It's about traditions and all kinds of different.
So
things.
Melissa, if you're hearing, that one's for you. Okay, and let's see. What are some projects you're working on right now, or working in 2020?
Well, I had a book that was supposed to be out before Christmas, and they decided to push it back to spring. It's supposed to be a Books A Million exclusive. That's going to be the only place you can get it.
Okay.
Through the History Press, and it's a guide to oddities in the South.
Oh.
So, yeah, and so this is another place for your itinerary. You can,
okay.
But there are places like, just all kinds of quirky places. Georgia has the Georgia Guidestones and just all kinds of different places to see.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to take a trip, there are 11 southern states, and they're just pretty much little short listings of what to see and how to get there.
Okay. Excellent. Well, that is something to look forward to. So, anything else you want to share?
No.
Not
too much. Oh, I will tell you one fun thing. When we were on our trip to Texas in Fort Worth, my husband surprised me with a stay at a historic hotel that was built in the 1920s. Very much like entering a Western saloon and Western hotel.
Yeah.
Very neat. And he had us stay in the room where Bonnie and Clyde stayed.
Fun.
And
fun.
Bonnie and Clyde, Bonnie's gun is there. They say it's her gun that's there on the wall and different things like that. So we got to stay in that room. And that's just the kind of thing we love to do. To us, that's a fun surprise. I know we're a little weird that way, but we love it.
So if my listeners know of a weird place that they want to share, how can they find you?
Actually, my blog is kellykazek.com. The email is kellykazek@kellykazek.com. And you can also go to my Facebook page, Kelly Caldwell Kazek, or Kelly Kazek's Weird South.
Okay.
So find me anywhere. I'm also writing for It's a Southern Thing, writing all kinds of quirkiness about the South.
And AL.com?
AL.com and southernthing.com.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. Some of the books that Kelly has written are?
Well, you've mentioned several, but I also write humor books. I write a humor column, and my first humor collection is Fairly Odd Mother, Musings of a Slightly Off Southern Mom.
I'm so that.
The second one is Not Quite Right, and it's mostly true tales of a weird news reporter. And they discuss a lot about my husband and the Bigfoot.
The Bigfoot obsession or search for.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
Has he had any luck?
He doesn't really believe in Bigfoot because we've never seen Bigfoot. But he says he's going to get a Bigfoot costume and go. I said, you're going to go out on an Alabama night in a Bigfoot costume. I said, have all the life insurance ready because you're going to get shot. So, but anyway, you'll find out what all happened with that if you pick up Not Quite Right.
Yeah. Well, I actually was on Loch Ness this past summer, and I didn't see much, but the lake is really pretty.
I do want to go. Did you get a T-shirt? Did you get an Essie T-shirt?
I've got a T-shirt and a mug and a book.
I do want to go for sure, definitely.
But you know, I found out too that the Jacobite Revolution in Scotland took place there too. So I know there's spooky stories.
Right, and I love history just as much, and because history is weird in itself usually, but you know, I love stories like that. But there's so many places still to see in this country that, you know, I don't know when we'll get when we'll get overseas. So.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of the podcast and for letting me be here today and part of it.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes.
It was fun.